Brethren and friends, good evening. It is a pleasure to be with you once again on this very cold evening here in Kentucky. I'm sure it's cold wherever you are too. If not, we'll be happy to send some of our cold your way. Hopefully, everyone is surviving the storms and no damages, no injuries, and we can focus on masonry tonight. So, on behalf of the Rubicon Masonic Society, it's again a pleasure to be with you. This marks our 78th episode of our Virtual Masonic Education series since we started in 2020. So, we are collecting quite an inventory of Masonic education, thanks to everyone that has been participating. But most especially the following lodges and brothers: Ware Lodge of Research, Lexington Lodge No. 1, and of course, all the brothers and members of the Rubicon Masonic Society. Just want to continue to say thank you for everything that you guys do behind the scenes with us and for us. And it's a pleasure to always work alongside you. Worship Brother Alan Martin, will you please do the honors of delivering an opening devotion?
Brothers, let's pray. Grand Architect of the universe, as we gather for this meeting, we ask for your blessing that you will unite our hearts and minds in common purpose. Grant us the wisdom to apply the tenets of our craft so we may improve our lives as we labor to become better men. We pray that you will bless our presenter this evening in our discussions so that we may be productive in our undertakings. These things we pray in your holy name. Amen.
So mote be. Thank you, brother. Okay. Brothers, our Virtual Masonic Education series, as you know, aims to help us to become better men, always devoted to our family, our faith, our country. So may we all come together tonight to learn, to discipline our minds, to subdue our passions, and to improve ourselves through the tools and brotherhood of Freemasonry. Any opinions expressed during this presentation will be those of the presenter or participant. They do not necessarily reflect the views of any lodge or Grand Lodge or the Rubicon Masonic Society. By participating with us, you do consent to our full disclaimer, which can be found at rubiconmasonicsociety.com/disclaimer. Again, as some quick protocol, these are not tiled meetings. As you know, Masons and non-Masons are more than welcome to attend and participate. So please always be mindful that anything discussed should be suitable for Masons of all degrees as well as non-Masons. Gentlemanly manners at all times. Please, no alcohol, no smoking, no eating, no foul language will be permitted. No discussion of politics or religion. In an effort to best ensure that these meetings are as enjoyable as possible, we do have a few recommendations. Recommended attire for each meeting is coat and tie. Please type your name and any appropriate Masonic title or location under your video to identify yourself to others. If you are not a Mason but attending with us tonight, then please simply type guest after your name. Please enable your video camera so we can see you as long as dressed appropriately. Please reduce background noise, keep your microphone muted when not speaking, and avoid all other computer programs and distractions. With that being said, I'm very excited for tonight's presentation and discussion. That's a good looking picture of you, Tim. Worship Brother Bizak, will you please do the honors of introducing our special guest?
We'll be glad to, brothers. Thank you. Tim Bramble was born in Lexington, Kentucky. He's a graduate of Georgetown College and Northern Kentucky University Chase College of Law. He's currently teaching high school pre-law, and he certainly loves his job. Tim's a member of Lexington Lodge 1, Paris Lodge 2, Hub City Lodge in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, and the Ware Lodge of Research, where he serves as chaplain. Additionally, he's associate member of the Rubicon Masonic Society. Brother Tim was in the first class of the Ware debate team in 2025, and this evening he's going to be speaking about the value of debate in Freemasonry. Brother Tim, the floor is yours, sir.
So much, worship brother. And thank you, everyone, for having me tonight. There we go. All right. So first of all, I just wanted to start out by talking about a little bit about what debate is. We often hear these terms. We have some ideas about what we think debate is. And there are several types of discussions and or arguments that get under that debate umbrella. So the first one I'd like to talk about is argument. As it was mentioned earlier, I teach high school pre-law, and many times my students will want to debate. Now, when they want to debate, what they really want to do is they want to have an argument back and forth, and they want people to cheer, and they want to score points. And it is more about besting the other side than it is trying to have some sort of a discussion where they can come together and realize to come up with a solution or a yes or no to the topic being discussed. Political debates are another debate that we think about a lot, and oftentimes political debates are really the ones we kind of focus in on. And these, of course, deal with trying to get that zinger, trying to have the sound bite that you remember. Without going into politics, although I can mention some from each political party, we can just think back over the last 20 years and think of various political debates where there were gaffes or there were memorable lines that are still said. And as I said, that is from both parties. Another type of debate could be a discussion. So you could discuss something where you're trying to come up with a solution. So now we're getting into the realm of where it's a little bit more beneficial. A discussion where we're discussing how we're going to spend money or what we're going to do for education in the future or discussions about new members. Any sort of discussion should be open and allow all parties to present their side and to have their feelings made known and their wishes made known. And then finally, we have a more formal debate. In this type of debate, there's more of a structure. So, for example, it was mentioned earlier that last year I was fortunate enough to be able to end the debate. And those debates, we actually had some rules set forth by the National Forensic League, the National Forensic League. That's now known as the National Speech and Debate Association. And with those rules, there are back and forth. There's an opportunity to question. We actually have another debate coming up this Wednesday. And for that debate, we're going to have two teams. And in those teams, there's going to be an affirmative speaker who will go. Then they'll be cross-examined by a negative speaker. Then the first negative speaker will give a opening statement, cross-examined by the other affirmative speaker. The other affirmative speaker will then give an opening statement, cross-examined by another negative speaker. And then finally, the last negative speaker will give their opening statement, and they will be cross-examined. Then there will be closing arguments by all four. And at the end of the time, it'll go to the floor to see who they think carried the day. So you can see that when we use the word debate, we can have a variety of issues and a variety of situations, ranging all the way from a heated argument where people lose their temper to a more structured intellectual exercise, trying to debate a topic. And so that's really where I want to focus more in on tonight, or on these latter two, these discussions and formal debates. One thing I did want to mention, I mentioned earlier that the Debate Association, on their website, I was looking at it, I'm going to paraphrase this. It talks about their vision. So what is their vision? And their vision is that debate will provide programs to foster communication, collaboration, critical thinking, and creative skills. It's not just trying to win an argument or outclass your opponent. It actually gives you an opportunity to think through your thoughts, think through the other side's thoughts, and sort of come to grips with why you believe that something is, in fact, the values you hold, why they are correct. So, as far as the positives of a debate, well, in this discussion end, this more formal debate, it can act as a safety valve. Some people, and we all have a different way of dealing with problems or any sort of confrontation. Some people will sit on that. They will let their feelings continue to bubble up until finally they simmer and explode. And this sort of being able to be open in a lodge setting will allow brothers to at least make their feelings known, even if they don't have a chance to have their side prevail. They can at least make it known what they're thinking, and they don't just hold on to that and let it continue to bubble up. I think this will cut down this more open discussion debates in a lodge room can cut down on arguments and will encourage the body to speak out on different topics. But for formal debate, I think this is very, very beneficial. I thoroughly enjoyed when I debated earlier last year, and I want to talk to you a little bit about that process and about what the benefits are of formal debate. So first of all, this is going to allow for a free flow of ideas. The topics were chosen for us, of course, but once you get that topic, you start digging into that. You start researching. You're reading more. The more we read, the more we think about what we're doing in lodge, the more we think about the reasons behind what we do and the reasons behind the ideas that we hold dear. It just makes it better. Personally, for me, I do not enjoy talking, and of course not in the lodge, but if you're ever out talking with people about politics, I personally don't enjoy talking with everyone that believes the same way I do. I find that a little bit boring. It doesn't challenge me. I would much rather have a discussion with someone who has opposing views because that allows me the opportunity to put a fine point on my beliefs, and it also allows me to listen to them and to hear them and to see where they're coming from. Um, Another positive of a formal debate is that this causes men to think about Masonic ideas when they're not in lodge. So that's twofold. First of all, if you're preparing for the debate, if you're one of the debaters, as I said, you're going to be going through and looking at various literature. You're going to be thinking through your thoughts. You're going to be thinking through the points you want to make. But also, if you're in that debate setting and you're just observing the debate, you will have some stuff to chew on, some things to think about, and you will think about that as you leave, and maybe a few days or weeks even later. What that was a good point, or I never thought of that way. So I think it really allows everyone, both the people who are participating and those who are observing, a chance to really sort of peel back and think about things a little bit more deeply. Um, and once again, I want to refer back to that vision earlier, that idea of communication, collaboration. So when you're working on a debate, you've got an affirmative team and a negative team currently, or when you're working with someone preparing for a debate, you're going to be working with them, collaborating, figuring out the best way to present your side. And that creativity and that critical thinking. And I cannot stress that enough. Too many times I feel like it's so easy just to go sit lodge, talk about business, and then go home and come back 2 weeks or a month later and do it all over again. Formal debate, Freemasonry, using a debate as a tool is definitely something that has a ton of benefits because it gives you those avenues to think more deeply. I don't know the exact number, but I remember when I debated, Worship Brother Bizak had mentioned maybe somewhere around 15 different authors had been mentioned by all four of the participants in that debate. So if you came and watched that debate, or if you've watched that online, shameless plug here, that is online still, you can hear several different authors and different works mentioned. Maybe some things that you're familiar with and you want to dip back into, or maybe some things you've never heard of, and it would give you a new line of reading and some some books that you had not thought of picking up before. And then the creative skills. It's not just using a hammer. It's really thinking through. It's using that full part of your body. We had an education 2 weeks ago at Lexington Lodge No. 1. And while we were there, Brother Tracy Burdett was talking about the ideas of grammar and rhetoric and some of those things that are mentioned in our rituals that we're supposed to study. This allows us to do that. Well, what about some negatives? And these are the things that we need to be careful of and steer away from. Hard feelings and damaged relationships. There is nothing in the world wrong with two people having opposing views, but we do need to conduct ourselves as brothers and as gentlemen as we do that. There's a chance that a debate could devolve into a shouting match, and that's really what my high school students think of when they think of debate, or if you think of a political debate and trying to one up and embarrass someone. So this idea of making sure that even when we're debating or when we're discussing, that we do not go too far. But speaking of that, I'm going to refer now to an article that was written by Worship Brother Dan Kemble. And this is on the William O. Ware website. This is called The Cost of Harmony. And there are a few quotes in there that really speak to this idea of why we should debate. And not just a formal debate, but why we should have those discussions in open lodge. One of the things that he says is that the harmony that we enjoy in our lodges is rooted in our mutual respect for each other, which exists despite our differing opinions. We all know that we're not to discuss religion or politics, not because those are not important things, but because those are things that can easily set one person against another. We do not focus on things that might cause problems, but we do know that we have different thoughts and beliefs. Now, Freemasonry is in need of, this is another quote from Worshipful Brother Kemble, Freemasonry is in need of robust discussions about its future, its leadership, and its focus. While those discussions should be conducted in a gentlemanly manner, we will have to acknowledge the likelihood of disagreement, but we cannot make the mistake of equating disagreement with disharmony. So once again, we can have these discussions. We can disagree. We can have debates. We can not come to the same conclusion. But that does not mean that we cannot end that time together with disunity. And then another example was, or another quote, I'm sorry, is we're capable of holding spirited, passionate discussions among ourselves with respect to our concerns about the future and our beloved craft. Quite frankly, the perpetuity of Freemasonry depends on those conversations. No doubt idea is to be feared, but the absence of open and honest debate is to accept the stagnation and decay that we have experienced for 6 decades. Once again, all three of those quotes were from Worshipful Brother Kimball's paper. And this idea of debate can really push us forward. Now, you might be thinking, why was he even chosen to speak on this part? He's kind of fumbled through tonight. He hadn't done that great. And this is why I think I was chosen. Back last year, June 25th of last year, there was a debate, and I was chosen to be one of the participants. It was my first time doing a formal debate like that. And I agreed, not knowing exactly what I was going to get into. But I immediately started reading and researching. So once again, one of those benefits personally that allowed me some growth because I was able to do some more reading on Masonic subjects. As I read and I did my research, I began to hone my positions. Why was I taking the position that I was taking? I was also thinking about what my opponents were going to be talking about, what points they were going to bring up. And that allowed me to sort of think through that other side of things. It was mentioned earlier, I am a law school graduate, I'm a licensed attorney. One of the things that you do if you're going to court is you have to anticipate what the other side is going to bring up. That way you can sort of get ahead of it. So it allows this idea of thinking of both sides, looking at it from both points of view. Now, you might change your point of view after you do that, or it might give you the confidence to know that what you believe is rooted in sound basis. You can still disagree at the end, but it does give you that opportunity to discuss, to read, to think, and then put that into the debate situation. Now, as I was working on this presentation, I was asked to participate in another debate. It's actually this Wednesday. Now, my initial reaction to that was to decline as I was busy. We started back with the school year, several other duties, lodge duties that I had working on preparing for this. But as I was doing some reading, I ran across a couple of quotes. And those quotes, I realized, would be good for the debate topic that I'd been asked to participate in. As I read, I started to get excited. I started to think this could be an avenue for my opening statement. This could be some things I could talk about if I was doing the cross-examination. And I began to get really excited about that. I was personally really enjoy this opportunity to sort of dive deeper and then put my thoughts in an open public forum and have them disputed and challenged and to see if they held up. So as I thought about that, I was hooked. And so I ended up responding with a resounding yes. And I am looking forward to debating this coming Wednesday night. So to sum everything up, there is not only a place for, but dare I say a need for debate in Freemasonry. It doesn't have to be what my students envision and turn into an argument. It doesn't have to be like a political debate where if you can embarrass someone, you've done your job and you might get the prize you're after. But what it should be is at the very least an honest and open discussion where brothers can disagree, various points can be made, consensus reached or a decision made. Doesn't have to be consensus in a Masonic lodge, but the decision will be made. And everyone gets a chance to say their piece, not just sitting in lodge, but outside of lodge when we discuss various things that happen, various things that are going on in Freemasonry today. That idea of open discussion. And if you disagree with me, that doesn't mean that we're no longer going to be able to be brothers or that there's going to be disunity or disharmony. It just simply means we've got two different ways of looking at it. I've got to be open to the fact that I might be wrong, and that's healthy. And then, as I've mentioned a couple of times, and I'll mention again, this idea of formal debate, I think is vastly, vastly beneficial. I think that if you're ever given an opportunity, or if you can set something up in your own lodge for an education night, that you should take that opportunity and run with it because it gives you an opportunity to research and read, which I think are invaluable. It gives you an opportunity to use those skills of grammar and rhetoric and logic. It gives you an opportunity to anticipate what someone else might say who disagrees with you. And it gives you the opportunity to think maybe they're right. And then finally, at the end of the day, it'll give an audience two sides to think about, and then they can go and research and think about both sides. So it's very, very beneficial. I thank you all for your time tonight. If anybody has any questions, I would love to entertain them. And Worship Brother Evans, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Brother Tim. Great job. Looking forward to Wednesday, assuming that we can get in our location and the doors are not frozen shut. Okay, so I have a couple questions here and some comments. I think this is a really great topic of presentation for everyone to participate in. I was doing a little bit of research about a week or so ago, trying to see what Rubicon videos were most popular recently, and it happened to be our two debate video replays that were recorded at Spindletop Hall with the Ware Lodge of Research. And I strongly recommend you go and find those on our Rubicon channel. They're not too difficult to find. Tim, what makes a strong debater versus a weak debater?
Well, first of all, I'm a teacher. I'm going to tell you that everyone can be a strong debater. I think what will make you a better debater is if you sort of think through those opposing viewpoints before you even get started. Think about what they're going to say and how you would counter that. Because I think what that does is that really focuses on or causes you to focus in on and hone in on your arguments, your points that you're going to make. Also, I think another very good skill is listening to what they're saying, so that if you do get that chance, or when you do get that chance to cross-examine them, that you are prepared to ask on what they've been saying. As I said, I was very fortunate to debate with three other people. They all did a great job. Um, I think sticking to your guns in a debate is a good skill. But overall, I think just that ability to be listening and thinking on the fly while you're standing ready to go.
Okay. Would you say the debate is more for the audience or for the actual debate participants who are making their arguments to hear the other side, would you say, or both?
Are you saying for the whole experience is for the audience or
Yeah,
for
I
the
mean, who is
debater?
the debate for ultimately? Is it because I disagree with you, so I'm
Yeah,
debating you?
yeah.
Or is it the audience that's participating, trying to make up their own mind on the debate topic, or both? I'm just curious to know who's benefiting from this debate, I guess is really
Yeah.
where I'm going with that.
Well, to answer that last question first, I think everyone benefits. I think as far as who the focus should be on, I think it is on that education side of things. It should be so that both sides are presenting information for the audience, so they can have something to take away. As I mentioned, something maybe you want to read or some point that you've not thought of in the past. Now, one of the very, very great benefits is the debaters do learn a lot as they're preparing. But if I had to pick one or the other, I'm picking it's for the audience.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Gerald, good to see you. Go ahead.
Thank you, Brian. And thank you, Tim, for this really excellent presentation. In high school, I was on a, a very successful debate team in my high school. I credit that with my entirety of my professional life after that. Before I went to law school, I taught high school and coached debate. Not nearly as successful as the program I was in at my high school. And also, I was very active in moot court in law school. And I can say, as a person who, as a lawyer, I was a litigation attorney. And I will absolutely back you up that the most important thing about success there is being able to put yourself in the other person's spot and anticipate what they're going to say. All the tournaments that I ever went to as a teacher or as a debater, one round you would be the affirmative, the next round you'd be the negative, So you have to do both of those. And when you're debating, because that's what you're doing when you're arguing a case in court, whether it's in a trial or an appeal before judges. And I've for many years judged the moot court competitions at UCLA, my alma mater. Um, uh, the, the the benefit is for your client definitely, and you're doing a lot of educating the judge. I think for the idea of doing it in lodge on Masonic stuff, um, I do think that while you get a lot from your preparation and all of that, I think that the potential for using that as an educational device, an alternate to a one-sided lecture, which is what we mostly do. I think the audience is really the big beneficiary there. And uh, this past October, I had the distinct pleasure and honor of hosting Brother Dan Kemble at my South Pasadena lodge, and talking on this very point. And uh, it's both of you got me thinking about how we might use that uh, where where uh, where my lodge is concerned, and I think that your analysis was beautifully presented, and I hope we'll take it really seriously, and particularly the part about it doesn't have to be a personal argument where you, in fact, if you go in that direction in debate competition or in court, you're sinking your own ship. Judges don't like it, and I'm you don't have to get that out of it, and you learn a lot, and a lot of times it's it comes back. Even the study comes back to you. And the years that I was debating in high school, the first year we were debating whether or not uh, the government should support public education, and the second year the topic was on the values of free trade over tariffs. And my golly, those are in current events right now today. So my congratulations to you, and your thanks to you, Brother Tim. I really enjoyed this.
Thank you so much for your kind words. I'll let you know this as well, since you mentioned moot court. In addition to all the other plates that I'm spinning this week, we have our regional competition for mock trial this weekend. So lot going on, but I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Mock trials are really cool too.
Yeah.
I did those in law school as well.
Yeah.
I'll tell you though, they're not the same thing as the real ones.
No, not at all. Not at all. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Gerald. Tim, did you say, I don't remember, did you mention what the debate was that was upcoming Wednesday, the topic?
Yeah, I can right now.
Yeah.
Resolved that the practice of advancing officers in a Masonic lodge through the use of the progressive line is beneficial and should be employed whenever possible.
Okay. So progressive line, yes or no?
Yeah.
Okay. That's just Dan's fancy way of
Yeah.
making it sound.
I'd love to argue the negative on that.
On the negative team.
Well, I bring that up because I think it's important for us to discuss a little bit amongst ourselves. What are some important Masonic debates to consider having these days? Because I'm sure we could come up with quite a list. And so I'm curious to know if anybody has some thoughts that they would like to share for that, and I have some as well, if not. But a teaser alert: we are already planning out the festive board and conference for 2026, and there is some discussion about possibly having a debate type of conference. So I think if anyone would have an interest in participating in that, I'd be curious to know if you think that would be a good idea, what some possible topics could be for formal debates at a conference such of this nature, and so forth. So, Tim, what are there any other specific debate topics you think that are worthy in masonry to have more of, or less of, or hear
I
more
mean,
side?
I'm kind of putting me on the spot.
Yeah,
I think one that would be good would be one day Masons. I think that would be a good debate.
I firmly
Just to
agree.
get just to get the ball rolling. If anybody else wants to jump in.
Yep, yep.
I would add one related to something that happened at Grand Lodge here in California last year. The decision was made to do away with the cipher and to print the ritual in plain English. And I still can't reconcile that to the middle paragraph of the entered apprentice um, uh, oath. They've
Yep.
also been talking about getting rid of the metaphorical penalties, and I can't see how they're going to reconcile that with the explanations by the master of the do guards and signs.
Hmm. Any other debate ideas, Darren?
Sorry, it took me a while to find the virtual hand, but I think one that, and it's pretty close to what Jeriel just said, that I think could work is let me remember what was in my head. It was right there. Oh yeah, yeah. And this is something that Catholics criticize Freemasons quite a bit. Is you know oath and obligation, maybe tampering that down to an affirmation. Like it, is that acceptable or not? They're not quite the same thing, especially to you lawyers out there could explain the difference between those. But that could be a topic as well.
Yeah, yeah. Good suggestion. Um, Francis, go ahead.
Yes, thank you. So I have an interesting one that I've brought up kind of in jest with some of the other members in the manner we speak, especially in the degrees and lectures. But the Masonic degrees have been written and rewritten more than once. And what if we decided to rewrite them with more modern language as they have before? Is I think that would be a neat debate.
I think it would be too. Very good suggestion. Brother Donald, go ahead.
Good evening, brethren. Apologize for my camera. Not properly attired. I'm not going to make any other excuses except to say that.
No problem.
I think a good debate topic would be the benefits of appendant bodies. What do they bring,
Very
or
good.
do they take away from craft masonry?
Great point. Very good point. Come on, I know you guys have a lot more debate topics out there. Don't make me have to start calling on you, David Crickard.
I've got another one. The a structured education. How valuable is that, or is that needed?
Good point. All right, David. Now I'm going to call on you. What do you got?
Hey, good evening, brothers. Hey, thank you, Tim. Brian, I don't know, man. I'm sitting here racking my brain trying to think of a good debate. Uh, Going back to education, it was like maybe instead of debating, I would rather debate the way, have the debate the way that our lodge does education, where it takes quite a bit more time than the lunar cycle, one lunar cycle to be advanced. So, but I would like to set it up where it would be more like I'm saying attacking, for lack of better words, attacking the manner in which Lexington Lodge One debates, or not debates, Lexington Lodge One educates.
Sure.
Since I feel like we're probably the only lodge, one of the few lodges in Kentucky that make it uh, a year and a half to 2 years to become a master mason, as opposed to 3 months. So that's maybe there.
Yep, good topic. Maybe another
I
topic.
think most of the principles of operative, I mean, of observant Freemasonry could be used as a debate topic, and there I would like to volunteer to be the affirmative.
Great. Thank you, Jared. Maybe a topic also is, should elected masters serve more than 1 year? Or only 1 year and that's it? Or in Worship Brother Allen's case, 7 years. He's got 5 more to go. Just kidding. But we have found at Lexington Lodge 1 that at a multi-year term really does help to continue a consensus agenda and keeping us on board with long-range plans. So maybe 1 year isn't enough in many cases. I think the debate topics and ideas are endless, right? The point is, can we come together and have a mature, cordial disagreement discussion? But what Dan Kemble said in the quote that Tim mentioned is, disagreement does not have to result in disharmony. And that's a very profound quote. I think that's excellently said. And part of it in Freemasonry is we have to have tolerance for different perspectives and different opinions. And debate certainly helps us sharpen our tolerance sword as well.
And I just want to kind of circle back to a point I was trying to make. I hope I made it clear enough. But in these formal debates, it's not necessarily where we're disagreeing that much. Oftentimes you'll have 4 people that all have the same viewpoint, but 2 are taking one side just for the purposes of the debate. I was talking more about that discussion about some of these matters where, as Worshipful Brother Dan mentioned, they might be afraid to talk for disunity, but instead we need to encourage that open discussion. And then also, Worshipful Brother Evans, or Brian, there's a couple of points in the messages.
Okay, great. I'll take a look at those.
All right. Uh-huh.
Brother Dean, go ahead.
Yeah, I think what's interesting when we're debating about the practice of Freemasonry is how diverse the practice of Freemasonry actually is, whether you're talking about within a jurisdiction or amongst jurisdictions. When I think about when I hear about things like controversies over whether or not the penalties will be included in the future, our brethren in the United Grand Lodge of England have tackled that. I think what I'm trying to say is some of it is, if you cast the net broad enough amongst recognized Anglo-American Freemasonry, you're probably going to find a jurisdiction that's already struggling with whatever it is that you're struggling with, or has addressed it at some time in the future. I also, having been in Scotland and England recently, especially in England, I marvel at how the obligation and the emulation ritual has evolved to be much more expansive about obligations to nation and being lawful without giving away too much, because I realize that we're not tiled in terms of what we owe in terms of confidentiality to another brother. The carve out is significantly larger in England than what we see in most jurisdictions in the United States. So, at any rate, all of these would be wonderful topics to dive into and debate from a variety of perspectives.
Thank you, Dean. Thank you very much. Jeremy Patrick, who is under the weather tonight, he put some comments in the chat. He mentioned a debate idea could be whether or not we should recruit and why. I think that would be a great one. Is solicitation acceptable? Roger, you look like you're itching to say something.
Is this on?
We can hear you. Yeah.
Good. I raising my hand on this, I couldn't find it, so I'm glad you called on me. It's like finding Bigfoot or something. I think that maybe a debate topic would be the value of charity within the lodge, and defining that Masonically first, and seeing where people might think on that. But with debate, I like what Tim was saying, and Tim, that was a great presentation. This desire to always be right is why I think debates have value, not just for the participant, but I was one of the people that did this, and hearing it from the other side a couple of times, it's good to see that there is value to that, what they say. And to be in a good debate, or to be willing to properly explore the other side, and again, open to being right, is something that I think would continue to be a part of what we do. Thank you.
Thank you, Roger. Another debate topic, of course, could be attire, proper dress code, if any, within lodge. David, go ahead.
Thank you, sir. So I have a debate topic. I was just sitting here thinking, would the founding, I don't know how I'd frame it, but would the founding fathers be suspended for unmasonic behavior for revolt against the crown?
Well, that'd be a lot of fun. I think a lot of the loyalty to state, at least in my understanding of the history and the evolution of our ritual, is more 19th century than it is 18th century. That's so it depends on which version of the ritual we're talking about. Would they be violating? Would kind of be where I would start. There's so much diversity, in terms of practice and content, even within recognized Freemasonry. And a lot of, one of the things that helped Freemasonry in England was having members of the royal family serve as Grand Masters, which is still the case. The Duke of Kent, who's the grandson of George V, has been Grand Master of the United Grand Lodge of England for 55 years. And one of the ways that those two Grand Lodges came together was in part where there were two members of the royal family that were their Grand Masters when they reconciled. But the French Revolution and the American Revolution, made the powers that be frequently concerned about what Freemasonry might be representing, based on the French Revolution. They stole our branding. That liberty, equality, fraternity thing. That's our stuff. That wasn't there, and that became the banner of the French Revolution. Caused lots of governments to wonder if Freemasonry was potentially a destabilizing influence in their society. And so I think our oaths and the emphasis on civil authorities and obedience to civil authority that we see in the installation ceremonies in particular are are the attempts of our forefathers to address those concerns. But that's just me. That's just my opinion.
Sure.
Somebody else could have a different opinion, and that'd be okay too.
And then you could have a debate.
Yeah, right.
Lafayette brought that back to France after participating in the American Revolution.
Yeah, there was lots of leakage to France, and they did lots of different things with it.
Hey, we wouldn't have won that war without them.
No, we wouldn't. We would not.
Blockading Yorktown is what was decisive right at the end.
Exactly, that's true.
Carl, I see your hand raised. 1 second. Tim, is there a section of the debate that is more valuable, would you say, as a professor? Is it the opening statement? Is it the cross-examination? Is it the closing statement? Obviously, they're all extremely important, but is there an emphasis that maybe a debater should take over others when planning their strategy?
In my opinion, and I mean, this goes through mock trial, moot court, being in court, questioning, cross-examining witnesses. Cross-examination to me is the most enjoyable part. So for me, that also goes for the debate as well, because you're actually, trying to have them justify the points that they're making. So it's not just allowing someone to throw something out and then it stands for the audience. You're gonna have them justify it and maybe even trip them up a little bit. So I think that cross-examination plays a huge part in it. Otherwise, it's just four people talking.
That makes sense. Good point. Very good point. Brother Carl, go ahead.
Thank you, worshipful brother. I'm not real adept at Zoom. I watched earlier today Brother Gulla's presentation on the English Reformation and Freemasonry, and there was some sort of discussion on that broadcast about should our principle of tolerance be extended to atheists for admission. I think that would be a wonderful debate topic.
That would certainly be an interesting one. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Carl. Yeah, I can. Go ahead.
Brian, there's another question in the chat, or another suggestion in the chat from one of my brothers here in North Carolina, and he's got no audio, so he asked me to read it.
Sure.
He says, we as a culture, of which the craft is a microcosm, are conditioned to be tribal and factious. Unfortunately, that is baggage that is often not left at the lodge door. How do we develop a culture of openness and dialogue to promote and grow debate as a harmonious form of oration?
That's a good one. Thank you, Ken. Tim?
Yeah, I'll jump in. Yeah, it's I think you have to start with that idea of letting people know that it is acceptable. Having a formal debate may open that door, and then people will feel more comfortable sharing opposing viewpoints. But when Roger and I debated against Brother Tracy and Brother Jeremy, we both went at it. All four of us did, but at the end we shook hands, and it did not in any way cause any disunity among us.
All Ainsley wagon.
I'm sorry. Oh, okay. I thought someone had a question for me. So I think just how you develop it is you just let it be known that you can disagree. it is a big problem in our society. And I mean, I'm glad to say, and I've thought about this often. I've got brothers who I feel very close to. I'm not sure of their politics at all. And I think that's a wonderful thing. I have no idea. And so the things that we would discuss, the things we would be open about, should be and would be things that uh, that we could disagree about and have it be open. I'm not sure if I sort of rambled on, but just starting with that idea of yes, it's all right if you disagree with me. I will listen to you. I'm open to being wrong, but that doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to change my opinion. I hope that helps answer. Somebody else can jump in if they'd like.
Francis, go ahead.
Hello. Well, I had a question when it came to the structure of debate, as to whether or not there is a parliamentary guidelines, who talks, how many times, what chances of response you have. And is that a very general thing, or where would you refer to
Well,
structure that?
what, I'm sorry, I thought you were finished. What we used in our debate actually are the rules from the debate and structure from the National Forensics League. But as I looked online, I think they've changed their name now to the National Speech and Debate Association. So that has some rules um, uh, where you can go and start there. That's the format that we had used for our debates last year and that we're going to be using this year as well.
Rules and time limits.
Yes, uh-huh. Yeah, I didn't mention that. We've got the list of all the speakers, and you 6 minutes for opening, 3 minutes for cross, and then everyone gets 4 minutes for their closing statement.
I'd like to add
They
something.
they were much longer times when I was in high school, but that was 60 years ago.
Brother Brian, I'd like to add something in response to our brother in North Carolina's question, in essence, about how to get this started. I think it still comes down, brothers, to the fact that it takes competent leadership to say we're going to do it. And certainly the master, if he's going to open, rule, and govern his lodge, can talk to his officers and say, we're going to debate this year. And as Gerald just said, and Tim, we're going to have a structured debate. We're not just going to sit around and talk about it. We're going to structure this and we're going to have rules. And we're going to talk about some topics and assign the people to do it. Without that leadership, I think we just talk it into the ground.
Good point. Very good point. Tracy.
Uh, Thank you. I want to refute Tim. There were lots of hard feelings after our debate. I can't stand to talk to him now.
One of the things that surprised me the most about debate is that people are willing to perjure themselves and there's no penalty. So go ahead.
So obviously, I was being facetious. But as far as how do we have debates and not have hard feelings, or not foster ruptures within the lodge, there has to be this, as we said in lodge a couple weeks ago, there has to be this really strong foundation of respect. I think the better that the brothers know each other, the more interaction they have, the more history they have, the less chance there is that there's, this is actually going to break out into actual acrimony. I don't. I think what I'm getting at is it's all a balancing act. We have to make sure that we have more harmony than any, potential for disharmony. And I mean, and I think like at number one, we're in a very good position. The four of us in our debate this summer at Spindletop, there was no chance that we were going to, leave there not being friends anymore. I mean, we have that history that that to fall back on. So I think that's something to keep in mind. Um, Other than that, as Tim said, the formal rules are just very important. The fact that we really want to enforce the fact that these are going to be gentlemanly discussions. They're not going to be, 1990s daytime talk shows going on. So,
You're 100% right, Tracy. And I think also piggybacking off of what Worst Brother Bizak said is it comes down to leadership. Somebody who is in charge of the lodge needs to make sure that it's cordial and the rules are laid out and maintains harmony in the lodge. 100% agree. David, go ahead. David Daugherty.
Good evening, brothers. Yeah, I just wanted to kind of add on to that idea about keeping the harmony. I think that's the other advantage to the structured debate as opposed to an open debate. In an open debate, most people tend to come in with pretty emotional, and they have something on their mind that they want to get off their chest, that they're trying to prove their point. Whereas in a structured debate, as I think Brother Terrell pointed out earlier, there are some debates where you are actually required to argue both the affirmative as well as the negative in both at different times. But even if you're only arguing one side, you need to be well versed in the other side's arguments in order to be prepared to discuss them. And so I think that when you have that knowledge of both sides, there's a less likely a chance to become aggravated or emotional about it because you are well informed. And I think a lot of the emotion comes from a lack of information, a lack of being informed on both sides. So that's the advantage of the structured debate, I think.
Great point. Great point. Tim, do you think that there is more value in someone arguing their opposite opinion versus their opinion in a debate format? You think that would be more valuable in the lodge?
I think it makes you think much more. I mean, you're as was just mentioned that you've got to think through both sides, but it's more difficult to argue something that you don't actually hold as one of your tenets. So it's I think it makes you dig deeper. You believe the things you believe because you've read or you've heard. This causes you to go in some different directions. So I think there's great value to being on the opposite side of what you believe.
Sure. Yeah, I think so too. Brother Crickard?
Yeah, thank you again. So arguing the opposite side or a side that you don't believe in, what it will do, in my opinion, it'll help you find holes in your argument for the future when you want to, come back to the side that you believe in. And, I guess I'm thinking more in a hostile debate environment. But yeah, what it'll do, it'll point out holes in your argument where you can actually in the future plug those holes up. So it's always fun to find your blind spots or weak spots.
Indeed. So Tim, in the simplest format possible, if brothers were watching this and they're thinking about implementing debate structure, formal debate structure inside of their lodge for just a simple continuing education purpose, what would be the steps that they should take so that way they could implement this?
I think another shameless plug, maybe take a peek at one of our videos to sort of see how it falls out, how it goes, and then go to that website that I mentioned earlier. I'll mention that again to look at the rules. That's the National Speech and Debate Association, and then come up with one or two topics and assign someone, and then just have that debate. It doesn't have to be a big deal at first, but the more structure, the more effort you put into it, the more you'll get out of it. But that's where I would start. I would start with looking at those rules, sort of seeing how the debate is structured, and then just coming up with the statement and getting after it.
Great. Thank you.
You.
Where's Brother Dan? Where's Brother John? Alan? Anything else you guys would like to add or contribute tonight?
Brother Brian, can I ask a question and make an offer here about something that's tangential but came up several times in our discussion?
Sure.
Um, this this year being the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence, the Southern California Research Lodge is going to devote their June, July, and August issues to the founding fathers who were Masons, who were writers, who were soldiers in the war. And I have been assigned to be the editor of those three issues of the magazine. If there are any of you who are amateur historians and would like to have the opportunity to have an article of yours appear in the Southern California Research Lodge's Fraternal Review magazine, if you would contact me by email, my first and last names at gmail.com, that I would love to be able to include other people from other regions and lodges in those issues. As I say, there was my first and last name without the capitalization, no punctuation, at gmail.com, if that's of interest to anybody.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you.
You can put that in the chat too if you like.
Sure.
Where's Brother Allen? Any comments on your side, especially regarding the multi-year master tenure?
5 more years, right?
That's right.
I'd just like to echo what others have said, Tim. It was excellent facilitation of the conversation tonight. I think it's a topic that is beneficial for the entire environment of Freemasonry. Brian, I had a couple of topics that came to mind for debate that I'll share with you. Universal ritual across jurisdictions and the need for a national Grand Lodge.
Mm.
I think those would be good topics for a debate.
Yep. Very good suggestions. Thank you, Worship. Worship Brother Kemble, what else would you like to add here tonight?
I'll add my thanks to Brother Tim for such a fine presentation. And, you know, as we sit here and discuss this tonight, I get really excited about this because it reminds me of our Enlightenment era roots, where Masonic lodges were places where men came together to share ideas and to exchange ideas. And in many ways, this idea of debate takes us back to our origins and takes us back to the original purposes of Masonic lodges, to share and to exchange ideas. I suspect that every man who has assembled here tonight has at some point in time sat through a meeting that consisted of the reading of minutes, payment of bills, and pretty mundane, routine and ordinary business. What an injection of life and vitality into a lodge by holding a debate where instead of listening to minutes, men are exchanging ideas, and we have that opportunity.
Absolutely agree. Thank you, Dan. Of course, Brother Bizak, anything else you'd like to add tonight regarding our topic?
Yeah, since we've had so many quotes tonight, I think this is an appropriate one that we might segue into our conclusion. That quote is, "If it's a disgrace to a man when he cannot defend himself in a bodily way, it would be absurd not to think him disgraced when he cannot defend himself with reason in a debate."
You know, we have so much trouble sometimes coming up with topics of education, we as a fraternity within our lodges. I see no better form of education than proposing a question or an argument that two sides debate on and then have open Q&A after. It seems like an extremely simple way to encourage creative thinking within a lodge without a tremendous amount of effort or preparation on the presenter. Brother Tim, any other final comments tonight about your topic or presentation before we proceed to close?
No comments other than just thank you to everyone who showed up tonight. Thank you for your kind words, and I'm glad I was able to do this. I've really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Great. Well, we appreciate your time. Thank you, Tim. All right, brothers. Our next Masonic education is February 23rd, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Please mark your calendars accordingly. We will send out the notice via email the morning of. So if you have any questions, let us know. Worship Brother John, do we want to mention our presentation for next month?
I'll let Dan do that, since it was his idea.
Next month, Worship Brother Bizak and I will have a joint presentation. We'll talk about the book that we published last fall, Men of Good Timber.
Great. Look forward to that one. While you're still speaking, Dan, you want to mention our book challenge?
Sure. We're almost exactly at the halfway point of our 13 book challenge. We challenged Masons in the period beginning June 1st of 2025 through June 30th of 2026 to read one book a month. So that's 13 books in 13 months. If you've decided to take us up on that challenge, drop us a line and let us know what you're reading. If any of you have read something and you're moved to write a review of it, please send us your review. We'd like to see that. And I'm going to do something that I haven't done, and that is I'm going to offer a recommendation of a book. If you read much of Joseph Fort Newton, there's a quote that he has that occasionally appears as an epigram in some of his books. And Newton wrote, "Time is a river, and books are its boats." And he used that especially in his autobiography, River of Years. If you've not read River of Years, it is an excellent book, and I recommend it highly. It's
Brother
not
Dan, could you repeat the name of the topic for you and Brother Bizak next month?
Sure. It's a review of our book, Men of Good Timber.
Thank you.
So the book by Newton, River of Years, if you've not read it, I recommend it. It's Newton's autobiography. It's not specifically about Masonry, but Newton's life was so intertwined with Masonry, it's impossible for him to tell his life story without writing about Masonry at the same time. If you like the work of Joseph Fort Newton, you'll enjoy his autobiography, River of Years. If you're looking for a book to read, I recommend that one. You can find it on online booksellers. It's long out of print, but if you go to Abe Books, if you go to eBay, I think you can find copies on there. And if you're fortunate, you might even find a signed copy of it someplace. But in any event, I hope you'll consider our challenge of a book a month. And again, if you do, please let us know what you're reading. Thank you, brothers.
Great. Thank you, Worship. Worship Brother Bizak, would you give a little shout out to the Philalethes Society, please?
Certainly be glad to, Brian. Philadelphia Society, brothers, was founded in 1928. It's an international Masonic research society, and it's the oldest independent Masonic research society in North America. It publishes a quarterly magazine. If you are not familiar with it, I would urge you to go to their website, take a look at it, possibly subscribe to the journal or become a member of the Philadelphians. And I'll post that link in the chat box after this announcement. And if you have questions, please feel free to get in touch with me. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, John. And another great website to check out is Worship Brother Bizak's website, thecraftsman.org. Great articles, books, commentaries, and so forth on thecraftsman.org. And I need to add for our next presentation, the Ware Lodge of Research website was completely rebuilt by some of our very own brothers, Jerry Johnston and Jeremy Patrick. It's an excellent, excellent source of resource in Masonic education, Ware Lodge of Research.org. Is it .org, Dan, or .com? I don't remember.
.org.
.org, thank you. William O. Ware, Lodge of Research.org. I'll be sure to have a slide next time. All right. Any other final comments from any brothers here tonight? Okay. Well, hearing none. Worship Brother Allen, will you please deliver our closing devotion?
Brothers, let's pray. Grand Architect of the universe, we thank you for your presence with us this evening. As we prepare to close our meeting, we ask that you continue to bless us in all of our undertakings. We ask that you guide our thoughts and our actions, fortifying every moral virtue within us. We ask that you bless us with strength, wisdom, and courage as we endeavor to work for your great purposes through Freemasonry. These things we ask in your holy name. Amen.
So mote be. Thank you. Brothers, again, our next meeting is February 23rd, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. You're already on our list if you received an email from us this morning. If you know of any other brothers that might be interested in participating with us, then please ask them to RSVP at RubiconMasonicSociety.com/RSVP. Until next time, brothers, may we always be happy to meet, sorry to part, and happy to meet again. As we close today, please enjoy this classical piece by Gluck, Melody from the